From bringing a shovel to the fight against the Phantom Troupe's strongest member, using it to bury his body right after, to pulling strings that left said Hunter World's most infamous criminal organization in a state of paranoia, there is no doubt that the Yorknew City arc was Kurapika's time to shine. His pure capability for destruction was on display for all fans of Hunter x Hunter to enjoy, and the best part was seeing the writer allow the character the breathing room to wreak pure havoc. The plot was an expression of the vengeance of a boy who had everything he loved taken away from him, and if I had to describe it using 2 words, they would be masterful vengeance. Kurapika's story can also be laid out as a blueprint of achieving your goals. If we zoom out for a second, we can identify that his overarching goal is to get his clan's eyes back and exact revenge onto the Phantom Troupe who had taken all of his family and friends from him. From the beginning of the series, it is clear that he has broken this goal down into smaller steps that allows him to get closer and closer. His first step is the Hunter license. Achieving the license would allow him the credentials to access networks and opportunities that are clearly out of reach without the license, not to mention the experience and connections he would develop along the way. As an example, he connected with Hisoka in a give-and-take relationship, who eventually became his main source of information when he launches his first attack. After receiving information from the plug that the Phantom Troupe are targeting an underground auction held in Yorknew City, Kurapika needs a way in and a way to fight the Troupe. The auction is only open to mafia groups and other influential individuals. Therefore, he decides that his way in is by somehow providing value to one of the big names who run the event. So he applies to serve as a bodyguard to the Nostrad family. At this time, he also seeks to increase his strength in a way that would guarantee his success in a fight against the Troupe. He finds a teacher to guide this process, and as a result finds out that his nin classification is Conjurer, meaning he can train to materialize objects that he could use in combat. This results in the creation of his iconic chains, which he explains symbolizes evil that's running loose, needing to be chained down to hell. His teacher explains to him that the chains are useless if they're not unbreakable. However, the only way to increase their strength is to set a condition on their use. Kurapika states that he will only use the chains on the Troupe, and further increases his strength by tying a chain to his own heart, which would kill him instantly if he violates the initial condition. To Kurapika, his goal is more important than his life. He now has a way into the auction and a strategy to defeat the Troupe. The prerequisites to success are now checked off. Now he needs patience and to seize the opportunities that present themselves when the time is right. In my opinion, this is where the fun begins. The quality of decision is like the well-timed swoop of a falcon, which enables it to strike and destroy its victims. Kurapika exacted revenge in a way that I've never seen before in storytelling. His entire plan was designed in a way that was almost artistic. It's ironic how he was fueled by revenge and intense emotion, yet he is able to carry himself and make decisions in a way that is rational, logical and carefully thought out. He is clearly flooded with emotion multiple times in the arc, but always manages to hold himself to his plans. The trust he has in himself is outstanding. He knows that his chance to strike will come, and it won't come all at once. He knows he has to slowly chip away and break the enemy down from the foundation. After his first run-in with the Troupe, his target becomes Uvogin, as he picks up on the fact that he likes to fight alone. It was also clear to him that he was physically the strongest member, meaning that if his chains were effective on him, they could work on any other member of the Spider. Now that Kurapika has decided on his target, he executes his plan appropriately, snatching his target using his chains while he was distracted in the chaos that ensued the attack on the auction. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. Kurapika and his team of bodyguards take Uvo hostage, leaving him with their assigned leader. Uvo is broken free by his fellow Troupe members who had found his location through interrogation. This enemy rescue mission resulted in the death of the leader of the bodyguard unit. In response, Kurapika was assigned the role of interim leader by his colleagues, who had picked up on his ability to remain sharp, calm and logical in the midst of chaos. Kurapika knew that Uvo would come back for revenge, and he had already determined that he would be by himself. At this point, he had also already figured out that his chains were effective, and that he could fight him one-on-one. Therefore, Kurapika knew himself, and he knew the enemy. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. As a boss who hired Kurapika owned multiple hotels, which could be traced by anyone with a hunter license, Kurapika quickly predicted that once Uvo broke out, he may be able to find them. Of course, he was right. Kurapika instantly responds by moving the target he was hired to protect to a different room in the same hotel under a different name, hiding them in plain sight while he waits in the hotel room that the Phantom Troupe would be likely to show up in. Uvo, as anticipated, arrives alone, asking him where he wants to die, which Kurapika responds to by saying he'd prefer a deserted wasteland, as he wants no one nearby when he has him screaming at the top of his lungs. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him, pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. It was like a game of chess with every move made intended to leave the enemy disarrayed while staying one step ahead. He is the invisible puppet master of the entire arc. Kurapika then faces Uvo, leading to one of the best and most iconic fights in the series. However, calling it a fight would be generous. The fight was over before it had even begun. Kurapika had put himself in a situation where he couldn't lose. Every move was calculated, and had been decided well before the fight. By the end, it was clear that Kurapika had his enemy trapped on the chessboard well before anything had happened, and the reason why it worked was because the enemy did not know this. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. During the fight, once it was clear that Kurapika had his opponent in checkmate, us as the audience were able to see Kurapika finally drop his guard and allow his emotions to take over. Togashi allowed us to experience Kurapika's rage firsthand. With every blow he dealt Uvo, we could also see how devastated Kurapika is, confused at how someone could commit the atrocities that the Troupe had committed. He asks Uvo what he feels when he kills innocent bystanders, further enraged by his response saying that he feels nothing. As he throws each punch, he explains how he's disgusted by the crushing sounds of each hit and the smell of his enemy's blood, outstanding at how a human being can commit violence while feeling nothing. This was Kurapika's opportunity to try to understand why he had to go through what he did, and he utilized it fully. His talent for war was clear, and he is as sharp as they come. However, at the end of the day, he is still a kid trying to figure out why evil exists. That being said, he then buries his defeated opponent's body, using the shovel he brought with him to the fight. As the title of the video suggests, Kurapika is a menace. All warfare is based on deception. Hold out bait to entice the enemy, feign disorder and crush him. The first domino had now fallen. He had just wiped one of the strongest members of the Troupe off the face of the planet without revealing his identity to the rest of the members. He was anonymous, and the rest of the Troupe only had the alias of Chain User to refer to him as when he snatched their friend away, as only his chains were seen. The story continues with the auction being rescheduled due to the attack. The Mafia expect the Phantom Troupe to attack again, and therefore hire multiple assassins to deal with them on the day of the auction. Kurapika is asked to join this group to help dispatch the enemy. The auction begins, and after manipulating his way inside, Crollo, the leader of the Troupe, sends a message to his crew to, in his words, go crazy. This is clearly motivated by the loss of one of their members, and the chaos that ensues as a result of the Troupe's motivated attacks leaves the auction in a frenzy. A series of events unfold that ends in the Phantom Troupe faking their deaths using fake bodies, while also secretly taking control of the auction. Kurapika, preoccupied with the orders from his boss, hears the news that the Phantom Troupe had been dispatched and is clearly enraged, refusing to accept the situation until he sees a body. Seeing the fake bodies, Kurapika falls into a slump of depression and confusion. His entire goal framework collapsed right in front of him, as he believes that the Troupe had been wiped out. He moves forward regardless, participating in the auction and winning the Scarlet Eyes that he had been instructed to bid on by his boss. However, after his inside man, aka Hisoka, sends him a quick text saying that the bodies were fake, Kurapika jolts backwards in shock. It looked like the life was resurrected inside of him. His sense of purpose was restored. He ends up realizing that he's gonna need help from his friends, as the risk of the mission has now increased, so the four-man crew are working together again. They now know that the Phantom Troupe have someone on their side, Pakunoda, who is able to read through memories, which is risky as it could result in Kurapika being exposed as a chain user. So they devise a plan which involves Killua watching their base for any movement, Gon being the decoy and Leoro the driver. This part of the story is where something interesting happens. The Phantom Troupe split into groups, and one group consisting of the leader follow a lead that they believe may tell them who the chain user is. Killua, of course, is staked outside the base and therefore relays this information to Kurapika. The Troupe end up catching another bodyguard who they suspected of being the chain user after they trace his Scarlet Eyes to him, and Pakunoda interrogates him, finally revealing the identity of the chain user. As this was happening, Kurapika could not keep his cool, chasing after the Troupe as they tailed the other bodyguard. Communications broke down, resulting in Gon and Killua being captured. This was the first time Kurapika's emotions had gone the better of him. However, there was a reason for this. After sighting the leader, Kurapika became aware of the massive opportunity in front of him. He believed that he could accomplish his goal of ending the Troupe in one fell swoop by ending the leader. If he just targeted the leader instead, the entire organization would disintegrate. The plan moves forward regardless, and the leader is now the target. Killua and Gon are taken as hostages back to the hotel. Unbeknownst to the Troupe, Leoro is sitting in the lobby as a civilian, waiting. He pretends to be shouting on a phone call, secretly dropping hints. Gon and Killua pick up on this and put together that when the clock hits 7, the entire hotel will black out. Crollo picks up on the fact that they are hiding something and asks Pakunoda to check their memories again. Gon and Killua desperately try to delay this, managing to avoid their secret being exposed by a split second. The hotel goes dark, and in anticipation, Gon and Killua wriggle free of their restraints. Killua breaking the arm of the mind reader woman in classic assassin fashion, while Gon kicks her in the chin. This is off topic, however these epic split second action scenes are really iconic, and Hunter x Hunter wouldn't be the same without them. Getting back on track, as has been said, in the midst of chaos there is also opportunity. Kurapika had been disguised as a receptionist the entire time, and when the blackout occurs was ready, using his chains to snatch away their leader. In classic Kurapika fashion, he struck quick and where it hurt the most. Begin by seizing something which your opponent holds dear, then he will be amenable to your will. He also left a note saying that if the mind reader woman was to reveal any of the information that she gained from Gon and Killua, he would not hesitate to kill their leader instantly. Paku believes that Kurapika is serious, as leaving the note meant he had to sacrifice a couple of seconds that he would have benefited from in his escape. After putting the pieces together, that span all the way back to when Gon and Killua were first captured by the Troupe, way before they worked with Kurapika, and reading their memories led to no identification of the chain user, as he had not informed even his own allies of his powers. In her words, she describes Kurapika as most likely intelligent, quick on his feet, secretive and level-headed. She realizes that Kurapika has been one step ahead all the time, with every move being calculated. Kurapika knows that any information that is obtained on him is a liability, so from the start, even his own allies were left in the dark. You must know yourself and the enemy in order to be guaranteed victory. Kurapika's biggest advantage the entire arc is that he's anonymous. He took out one of their members, yet they hadn't even seen his face. This uncertainty left the Troupe constantly playing into their hands. Now that his identity had been compromised, he used haste to keep the upper hand. Though we have heard of stupid haste in war, cleverness has never been seen associated with long delays. Gon and Killua were still hostages. However, since the Phantom Troupe were under the impression that Kurapika was willing to sacrifice them, he maintained his control on the situation. He ends up presenting 3 demands, which must be followed. If any one of them is violated, their leader dies instantly. Everything is in Kurapika's hands. However, after speaking with Crollo, who he had hostage, he notices a hole in his plans that he had not accounted for. His entire plan was based on the assumption that killing their leader would cause the organization to disintegrate. However, after discussion, it was clear that the leader was unfazed, stating that the spider would move forward even after losing its head. Kurapika had overestimated his understanding of the dynamic of the organization, and as a result, gets himself into what he calls a bind. Kurapika realizes that his goal is now unachievable and is overcome by the realization that getting his friends back should be his priority. Although Kurapika had technically made a mistake, his ability to pick up on it in the midst of the situation and be able to deduce the best plan of action to get the best outcome of the situation is remarkable. The ability to gain victory by changing and adapting to the opponent is called genius. His priorities have now changed, however the enemy cannot be sure of this. Therefore Kurapika still uses to hurt the Troupe, tying a judgment chain to Crollo's heart that prevents him from using his abilities or communicating with the rest of the Troupe again. If he violates his condition, he dies. Paku also has a condition placed on her, however it is to release Gon and Killua unharmed and without speaking. In a 2-bird, 1-stone effort, Kurapika manages to get back Gon and Killua while disabling the leader of the Troupe, stating that now he will get to experience the pain of losing his home, just like Kurapika had. Kurapika's best weapon is clearly his mind. It's amazing how one young man was able to pull the strings of this entire arc. He single-handedly had the criminal organization unable to respond to his actions. For most of the arc, he existed as only a name to them, yet also as their worst nightmare. It's clear that Kurapika's biggest advantage was his sharp mind and resolve. I think I'm not alone in thinking this was the best arc in the series and left everyone on the edge of their seats. I also drew on many parallels to the teachings of the art of war, because many of the tactics used in the story are relevant, and the application is why one kid was able to dismantle a group of criminals. Kurapika still didn't end up achieving his ultimate goal of completely ending the Troupe. However, with recent talks with Togashi coming out of hiatus to continue writing, we may end up seeing how the story continues. Thank you for watching to the end. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and whether you enjoyed the video, along with anything you'd like to see next.